Hey, Alex.
Hi.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
It's a great agenda. It's quite full.
I guess I made it more note-like than that. We don't have to do it that way if everyone doesn't like it. It's, you know.
I just wonder if we're going to be here for 3 hours.
No. I have to be at a school meeting this week. This was more like, I don't know, just so we knew what we were thinking about.
Sure. That works.
But if it seems too overwhelming to receive, we can go back.
So you guys have cats, right? Did you give your cats this wonderful toy? No?
We have a dog.
Okay. So it's infused with catnip, and it. Except my cats hate it. They just won't touch it.
Does it smell like fish?
No, it smells like catnip. So it's a very confusing toy.
Someone sent me as a gift once. I have a friend who makes taxidermy out of roadkill.
Oh my.
And they sent me a keychain of a squirrel foot, but I guess it must have still smelled like squirrel, and my dog went crazy, trying to murder it and hide it.
Mm.
I heard about someone who was a vet and a taxidermist. His motto was, either way, you get your pet back.
God.
That sounds like a conflict of interest, actually, David.
It could be, yeah, it could be.
Okay, so how does this work? We wait till everyone's, sorry guys.
Well, it's
You got a
like
quorum.
You got one more minute.
I have 6:59, okay.
So 1, 2,
I think,
3, 4.
is everybody here?
Yeah, we're all here, aren't we?
Aaron.
We're all here.
I'm here.
Aaron's here.
Aaron's here.
All right, that's weird.
Aaron. Thank you for delaying, Aaron.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people reached out and I thought it'd be best because people would be
A couple
busy.
of things going on today. Whoa.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you think Trump's in a straitjacket, or he just doesn't care anymore?
Guys, if you saw what's happening today, you know what's going to happen, what to expect if you force me to step down.
Ah. Forewarned. Good to know.
Just be warned.
Okay. All right.
All right, so it's 7. So it officially starts, right?
Call to order. Yep.
We call the meeting to order. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
With a date, maybe.
It's January 6th, 2021.
Time?
7 p.m.
Get through this, Alex. Don't worry.
The agenda will help you.
And okay, everyone's here. We have Ken Panza joining, Lauren Rose, Ashley, whose last name I won't butcher by saying it out loud because it's lovely, I'm sure. Okay, so did everyone see the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, and here's Laura. Hi, Laura. Okay, so what do we, who wants to make a motion?
I'll move that we adopt the agenda.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, wait, all in favor? All in favor?
Oh, all in favor.
Aye.
It's going to be it'll be like this for a few minutes. Okay. And did everyone see the minutes that David sent to us?
Yes.
And would anyone like to?
Yeah, I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Correspondence, none. I have the email address now set up. Julia, so you won't be getting any more emails. And there was nothing of note. Announcements, anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. Today was a tough day for the country, and I was really shaken by how far it got out of hand. And it brought me back to 1968, which I've always said was much worse than this year. Well, than last year, 2020. And I went back and I watched Bobby Kennedy's speech to his Black campaign workers in Indianapolis on the night that Martin Luther King was assassinated. And then I watched a reminiscence by one of Mayor John Lindsay's aides about that night when he decided that he was going to walk through Harlem. And those two men behaved heroically. And what really shook me today was that there was not a shred of heroic behavior by anyone in the Capitol. I mean, like none of the Republicans who were pro-Trumpers went out on the steps of the Capitol and said to the rioters, demonstrators, whatever, it's time for you to go home, get out of here. We'll take care of what we need to take care of. And that's a huge change in the nature of the country. There was room for heroic behavior in the past, and it doesn't look like there's any now. And so thank you for bearing with me. That's it.
Anyone else? Any other
I
announcements?
just wanted to mention a wonderful film called Water Keeps Time. Has anyone seen that?
No.
It was made available through HV1 through a free link. I can send the link around. It's a 32-minute film by Alex Rappaport. I think he's a local filmmaker, but it's a documentary about the lower Esopus Creek, and it's beautifully done. It's about the history from the time of the Native Americans, and then right up through the present time, but some conservation initiatives, and it's just with some beautiful music. And what it's making clear is what some of the initiatives are, the environmental initiatives that that Socrates is pursuing. And as we talk about communications or ways to get our messages out, I think if we take a look at this, we might get some ideas. So I'll pass the link around if you have a time to take a look. It might be good. Yeah.
Cool, thanks,
Mary
Julia.
McNamara.
And I have one.
Sure, go ahead. And Vernon Benjamin and a lot of other Socrates people are in it. So.
And my announcement is just that the Hudson Valley Environmental Justice Coalition is doing a presentation on January 18th at 6 p.m. And that is with Aaron Mayer, who was the first African-American to be president of the Sierra Club. He's also from Albany. So a lot of it has to do with some of his local or more local work and knowledge. And if anyone it's free to go. So I have the link to sign up. If anyone wants to go, just let me know and I'll send it out. And then, so I guess, Bob, I don't know if everyone knows everything, but Bob is now going to be taking over as secretary. You're feeling good about that? Okay. And David has taken over as vice chair and has been very helpful. So I think getting started, Lauren, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Do you have anything that you want to share with us about what's going on?
Well, Mr. Canigliaro has employed a excavator who dug 5 test holes, some of them like 8 feet deep up there, and surprisingly hit almost perfectly clean fill. There was a few pieces of concrete, there was a little blacktop, but nothing as drastic as I thought. I don't want to say that I hope, because I didn't hope that the place would be trashed, but so it's still not done correctly. The slope on the edge of the fill he brought in is giving way, and so that's all going to be cut back. He's going to put a retaining wall in along the backside of the Amy's property. And as he takes the fill out, any of it that's clean, which was most of what I saw actually, can be reused somewhere else on the property. He's going to separate anything out of that which is not supposed to be there, and that will be tested and taken away, because wherever you take it, they're going to want to know what's in it. As far as I know, the testing of the well water came up pretty good.
All right,
So-
Lauren, did you say the soil was tested?
It has not been tested at this point. He's gonna tear it down. He's got to take, I don't know, maybe 500 yards or more out of that corner where it's so steep and it broke loose down into the Amy's property and the other property around the corner. All that's got to come out of there so that it can be sloped to an acceptable grade where it won't wash again. So there's an awful lot of stuff that's going to come out of there, and any of it that is not clean fill will be tested and hauled away. That's my understanding of it.
I have a few questions whenever anyone's ready. Sorry, Lauren, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you done?
No, I'm easily cut off. That was good.
All right, so I'm a little bit disappointed. I have some questions. So you said there were 5 test holes. What's the name of his excavator?
You know, I don't remember it.
So I've asked several people that question. No one can seem to tell me the name of who he's hired. I'd like that information. If you could get it, that would be great.
I can get it for you. I did meet the man, talk to him. I can tell you where he lives. I can tell you what kind of equipment he operates.
I just want to know that he's licensed in New York State and he knows what he's doing and he knows how to handle soil that's possibly not soil, that's fill, that's C&D, and how to test it properly.
Yeah,
So
no.
that's what we want to make sure is that he's qualified.
I will get you his name. He's from talking to him, pardon my French, but he knows his shit. He seems like he's really on top of it. And he was giving him all kinds of other ways that he can get at Corollas just for his workmanship up there. Because the way he left it, there's no way it was gonna be sustained.
So
Laura?
this excavator, sorry, Julie, I have a few questions. This excavator is the one who dug the holes?
Yes.
How far down did they go?
At the deep end of it there, he was down there 8 feet. He was down to virgin soil in every test hole.
Virgin soil, okay.
Yeah.
And none of the soil was removed. What'd you do with the material that you guys dug up? Did you take it somewhere? Did you put it back?
We put it back in the holes just because you don't want to leave an 8 foot deep hole up there that's liability waiting to happen. So,
So this was all done by Vincent. You were there and Vincent's excavator. Is that correct?
there was a whole fleet of us there.
Was
Both-
Frank Amy there? Some of the neighbors that have concerns?
I was there representing Frank. I spoke to him ahead of time. He told me where he'd like to see the holes. But I was there. Both building inspectors was there. Mike Reynolds, our highway superintendent, was there.
Who did you say was driving? Who was like in control? Because it sounds like Vincent, the property owner who did this, is the one kind of calling the shots, and that's cause for concern.
I actually wasn't concerned because when I got up there, they had 5 holes dug, which is where I would have dug them. And they asked me if I wanted any more holes and where I wanted them. So I don't
Yes,
think they
so-
were trying to hide anything. There wasn't anything where we dug the holes. Like I said, there was a couple pieces of blacktop.
And you know this by looking at it?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
Lauren, I don't mean to, I'm not trying to interrogate you like an attorney, but
that's okay.
you don't know if there's PCP or lead in that soil. How do
I
you know
don't.
that? Come on.
I don't.
So use a phrase that you would like. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Well, we sniffed it.
Well, that's great, but you didn't test
Yeah.
it.
Like I said, anything that is questionable will be tested.
Take any photos?
I didn't, but
Did anybody?
I'm not sure.
Could you find out?
Well, I guess, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're the liaison. I'm just out. If you don't
Yeah,
want
no,
to,
no,
then
I don't
do
mind
it.
you asking me these questions. I don't know if
Okay.
anybody took any pictures. I will ask that question.
find out, because that was one thing that was important. We wanted pictures taken. So, Julia, the one other thing I do want to on this topic, I talked to Fred Costello in Saugerties, and I talked to actually a few people in Saugerties, and it is with much disappointment that I tell everybody on this call that the location on Route 212, that Corollas is currently being charged files from the Attorney General. They're going to pursue that. They're going to go forward with that this year. There's a schedule online if you want to look at it. That fill has mysteriously disappeared.
Wow.
And I think I know where it went.
Well,
Think
that's
you think?
possible.
So Julia, I'm done.
Okay, I just, I don't understand how it is that we saw what we saw when we went up to the Amy property, and that stuff was spewing out of that landfill.
Yeah, that is,
And you're not finding any of that in the 5 holes, so.
that was my question, is why would he put this stuff all around the edge?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't
really.
make sense.
It doesn't make sense, but I can only report to you what I saw.
Hmm.
I mean,
Is
I
it
was
pretty-
expecting huge slabs of concrete and all kinds of other stuff in it. But maybe when they take all that soil off, because they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna have to take a lot of yards of soil out of there.
Right.
Is anybody going to be supervising that from the building department?
There's a bunch of us that are gonna be watching that.
Okay.
Can
Oh.
anybody from the WEC join that?
I can see if I can arrange that.
Because I've been asked to back off of it from Bill. So I'm trying not to be a pain in the butt. I was told that I was out of line.
Lovely gentleman in the corner that knows what he's doing.
I know.
Mhm.
I know.
Bob?
Yeah, I'd be happy, or to review whatever documentation. Frankly, they should have some kind of documentation. Site notes, photographs,
Mhm.
drawings of the test pits.
Okay.
There's a field instrument they use that they can at least scan the dirt. So there's a certain protocol, good engineering practice. But I'd be more than happy to be there when they're digging and carting.
Then another question is, where were the 5 holes drilled? In the center, or nothing along the sides? Or?
No, they dug one right out near the top of the hill where it goes down to Frank Amy's. They dug 2 holes up there,
Really?
and they were probably 8 feet deep
Hmm.
down to the virgin ground. You could see the change in the soil, and brought up almost nothing. I mean, nothing that.
And what's the latest with the resolution? Like, the resolution said that there's supposed to be water testing and soil testing within 30 days. And so what's going on with the resolution that we really appreciate you taking and getting passed, Lauren? Thank you, by the way.
Well, it got things moving, and so if they're moving, I'm okay with that. But Bill and I were gonna look at the resolution, which hasn't happened yet. You can try to blame COVID or whatever, but so plus they're gonna. I think we got what we wanted. They're gonna tear all that back out of there, make the neighbors happy. So the testing of the soil is something that I'll work on.
And
I would-
also the name of the excavator.
name of the excavator. I know he lives on the top of Silver Hollow Road on the left.
Are they still pursuing, I know there was talk about working on an updated fill law.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, we've been on that
Is that still?
quite seriously, and we have one that's pretty tight.
Yeah, the
Which,
draft is available. The draft of the fill law is available and being reviewed by the board.
So
What about
it's,
the charges? Have they been, did Ellen file the charges?
I don't think that's happened yet. And again, I tried calling the attorney, he don't get back to me, so, but I stay on Bill pretty good about it. And Canigliaro actually wants that filed so that he can go after Corollas. This is what he says anyway. So
It sounds like you guys and Canigliaro plan on keeping the fill there now. Now you're just gonna do like a, did you say retention and just shore it up?
I don't, once they pull it out of there, I don't know what, if it's clean, it's his fill. He's paid for it. He can do whatever he wants with it.
Can
He
you
has
keep
to
it,
provide
can you keep it there though? So Lauren, you're saying some fill may stay there, because at one point the plan was take it all out. So what percentage of it, based on the current plan, based on what they've seen so far, what percentage of it is likely to come out?
I'd say to meet grade, and I've not looked at an engineer's drawing, which I understand there's one coming. I would say probably a quarter of it has to be taken out of there to make it come down to grade.
Isn't there a zoning law that you can only put so much fill in the town, otherwise it becomes a dump site? Like, aren't there?
Well, that's what, this is non-compostable debris, which is what he's being charged with.
So then I'm confused. I'm under the impression because there's so much of it, like there's so much volume that it couldn't.
Well, they're
stay.
gonna separate anything that is debris in it. Anything that's concrete, blacktop.
Who decides if it's debris or not?
Well, it's pretty obvious if it's concrete or blacktop.
Well, the receiving
decide-
facility will have to make that decision.
Who decides though? Who's the person deciding and making the decisions?
Well, the excavator will separate it as he digs it out.
So the guy who Vincent hired, who did this, his guy who he hired is going to make the decisions.
Well, there'll be the rest of us there too. So, I mean, there'll be a lot of us there.
Yeah, Lauren, who from the building, you mentioned building department was there. Was that Ellen or Butch?
Both.
Oh, both of them, both
Yeah.
Ellen and Butch.
And if you could also
Oh.
find out what's going on with those charges, Lauren, that'd be great.
I'll see what I can do, but you can call the attorney probably better than I can. You seem to get better response from him than I do. No.
Will the state of the charges change depending on what, if anything, is found when they take the fill out? I mean, is someone going to be there saying, oh, X% of this is debris, which means that he broke this XYZ law? Or are you guys just making sure that it gets disposed of correctly?
Until we pass the new dumping law or the new, whatever you want to call the new law, I believe all we can charge him with at this point is illegal dumping of non-compostable debris. So
I don't understand why the soil's not getting tested, because the minute you test it and you're saying, okay, we're going to take it away and remove the construction stuff. But if there's something like lead, which it's if that's the same stuff that was on Saugerties, which there's very good reason to think it is, at least some of it, that's been tested by the DEC. That stuff had PCBs, lead in it. If any of that is in that soil, how can you say the excavator's going to sort it? He's not qualified. Now that you've got that kind of stuff in it, it has to go to a regulated New York State place and be disposed of. I'm confused.
well, we'll send them everything that's not clean fill. Right? And they will test it. So if it comes back that it's got nasty stuff in it, we'll go from there.
But I think, Lauren, I think that Erin's point is that there is stuff that is nasty that's not visibly nasty, like PCBs and lead.
No, I get it.
lead.
I just don't,
Let me just chime in, Lauren. I mean, if there's a way, if they're going to take soil to someplace else, to a
Right.
facility, that facility is going to be permitted to accept certain kinds of stuff, whether it's C&D, whether it's soil, whether it's contaminates. So they're not going to take the soil unless they have the appropriate analytical suite of what's in their dirt. So the excavator or whoever's responsible should have a manifest, and attached to that manifest, would be analytic results. I think it would be important for the town to track that and make sure that that's happening. Just to
I
protect
agree.
liability.
You have my email address?
Yeah.
Okay, send me your phone number, because I don't get notified too far ahead of time when something's gonna happen up there,
Okay.
but I will call you as soon as I know. And
Sure,
I'd
I'll
love
give it
to
to
have
you.
you come along.
I give it to you right now. You got a pen?
I do.
It's 347-306.
On just a second. 347
306
6
3914.
3914.
That's
Okay.
me. Thank you.
Lauren, I don't know if I know Aaron, you said you've been asked to kind of let it go a little bit, but is there a reason that neither Aaron nor Bob nor anyone else was asked to join the hole digging party? And is it possible to just make sure that one of them or us would be included in any?
I just got Bob's phone number.
All right.
I'll let him know. I found out about the hole digging about an hour before it happened, which I don't want to get into that, but it's what we have to work with. So,
Okay. Because especially Erin seems like she has a whole list of things that she is looking for, and we want to make sure she gets them.
I will do my best.
All right. Any other stuff about this that anyone wants to? All right. Thank you, Lauren.
I just want to say one more thing. In the late 60s, my mother went to Washington, D.C. to protest the Vietnam War, and they got out of hand. They carried candles for every dead man across the bridge. So, I like protests, but this is not protests. This is nut jobs on parade.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, and I will talk to you all later.
Have a good
Stay.
night.
Lauren.
Okay. David, I know you said you guys have only spoken once, right, about the solar stuff so far, but did you have anything you wanted to fill us in on?
Yes, Nick, I think, is going to
All right.
present our findings.
Yeah. Started doing some research on community solar. First of all, I'm going to address the issue about whether whether we're going to recommend to the town board that we do something with Solstice or what we're going to do with them. Okay, then we'll talk about renewable energy more in general afterwards. Okay, so I kind of wasn't seeing a lot of value in community solar in general, and and wasn't seeing any differentiation of what Solstice could do compared with the other providers who are operating in our environment. There are 7 or 8 others. There's Clearway, Common Energy, ConEd Solutions, Nexamp, Solar Generation, and SunCommon, as well as Solstice, operating with the Central Hudson right now. Basically, I went to all of their websites, and the material on their website's kind of useless, really, for our purposes, other than the fact that it shows big solar arrays on farmers' fields universally, basically. So Googling around on the topic, Google ended up suggesting a search for the terms solar cash crop. If you search for that, you'll receive hundreds and hundreds of websites recommending ways for farmers to cash in on the funding available for solar and convert their farmland to a community solar operation, and that was rather disturbing. On a side note, I did some research on the Better Business Bureau for Clearway in particular, basically, and there were a number of complaints from people who tried to cancel their contracts with the solar provider. Apparently, that is nowhere near as easy as the marketing representative from Solstice led us to believe. Indeed, to cancel your contract, you have to have somebody with the same energy profile to take on the contract on your behalf. Otherwise, you're stuck with it, and the fine print of your contract will bear that out. So, all in all, I don't know. That's kind of soured me to the whole idea. Basically, I mean, the environmental benefit to the actual subscriber of community solar is marginal at best, and it just, I guess this is the nature of the discussion that David and Bob and I had last night, basically, because we ended up talking through some of these things and coming to the conclusion that there's not enough compelling reason for the town to act specifically with Solstice or in general on this, considering what our actions might be, basically. I mean, the town could, and forgive me if I don't remember the technical terms for it, basically, but the town could do a town-wide deal where everybody in the town used the community solar provider unless they opted out. That's one of the options that we could do. And to me, that didn't seem particularly good thing. It seemed to go against people's freedom of choice, and so coerce them possibly into a contract that wouldn't be particularly favorable for them, as I pointed out, when they if you did try to cancel out of it, the terms of the contract aren't favorable, basically. And so I don't think we I don't think we can recommend that to the town adopts that approach, basically. The other thing the town could do is actively market the solar providers company to the residents as a recommended solution. And I didn't think that was a good idea either, basically. I mean, that would be, I mean, Woodstock's a worldwide famous brand, and that would be lending our brand name to a company for no other reason than they came and gave us a presentation without any differentiation, basically. And so I didn't feel that we can recommend going forwards with Solstice for that reason either, really. And so the third alternative approach would be to no action, not take any action at all. So with that, I'll give David and Bob the chance to chime in and add any more color. If because I wouldn't want you to think these that this is my thinking in isolation. Basically, we were unanimous on this.
Yeah, David, Nick, and I talked this through last night, like Nick mentioned. And the more I dig into this, and granted, I'm not an expert, the more I feel like the solar energy market is a little bit of it's a little bit of Wild West, and I don't think you're getting what you think you're getting. And I mean, Nick articulated it a little better, but I sort of feel with the Woodstock name, I feel like we could get used for someone else's marketing purposes. So having said that, I think David and Nick and I agree that I wasn't in favor of moving too quickly on this right now, or at least, I guess, the no action alternative that Nick mentioned. David,
Yeah,
did you have anything?
Yeah, so Bob, you done? Yeah, you're done. You muted yourself. So first of all, this was a unanimous agreement between the three of us. This is not Nick, or Bob or me going off on our own. This is unanimous from the three of us. The unanimous conclusion is let's not go forward with Solstice right now. I'm not convinced that there's no possibility of community solar being beneficial if you find someone who's doing it the right way, where they build solar arrays on parking lots and big box store roofs and things like that. and they're not, raping farmland to do this and creating some kind of boondoggle, and they have contract provisions that are favorable. What I'm saying is, yeah, I don't want to go, I agree absolutely that I don't think it makes any sense for us to go forward recommending Solstice to the town now. And I want to do some more research because I think there's a possibility of other providers doing a better job for the town than Solstice, and I want to find out. And so that's it. That's it for me.
Yeah,
So-
they did. They did. Sorry, just to conclude that, they did some research and uncovered a number of other sustainable energy companies who operate in our area, who are providing electricity from hydroelectric and solar. And so, what we would like to do is to go away and examine the issue some more and see if we can find a provider that can do this, because we're all in favour of renewable, sustainable energy as an alternative to burning carbon. Basically, everybody's in favour of that. Really, it's just a matter of making a sensible and informed choice.
The devil being in the details.
So guys, let me ask you, I mean, I think we all agree that we don't want to do nothing forever on this issue. In general, in the big picture, like as a place, I don't suppose we want to encourage, doing what we keep doing. Are you guys open to working on this a little bit more? Do you want, as the three of you, do you want is there anything else? Do you need another person? Do you want some help in some way? Will you keep digging into this? I mean, I know, David, you have some ideas bigger than this that you are pretty passionate about.
I think we're limited to 3 people on the subcommittee. Otherwise, we have a quorum of the committee, and it has to be recorded, and et cetera, et cetera. So we're rather limited, basically. So answer your first question, I'm going to speak for the 3 of us and say definitely we want to spend some more time on this. Definitely, I've got time to look into this. I feel strongly about it, basically.
I agree.
I'm really happy you're doing what you're doing and not
Yeah,
using your own land, because that
yeah,
really bothers me. We don't allow, on our east properties for the city even, we don't allow solar because of what it does to the land. So I was pretty much against it from the beginning. It's not the way to do it.
As a sideline, I looked into how solar cells are manufactured. There's a lot of strip mining for pure quartz that takes place, basically, and there's the manufacturing process requires a lot of coal. First to burn the furnaces, and secondly to drive off the silicon dioxide and create carbon dioxide, which is a direct byproduct released into the atmosphere as part of the manufacturing process. Basically, I mean, this whole thing's not a panacea at all, really. I mean, I'm not saying those the manufacturing process outlies the supersedes the benefits in the long run of generating electricity that way, basically, but it's not a panacea at all.
And would you guys also be willing to look into, I mean, and Ken probably is a really good resource for this if he's interested in giving some information, but at what point bigger picture laws like county, state, and federal laws are going to coincide with what we need to do in this regard? Does that make sense?
Yeah, things like what should we do about the use of farmland for solar arrays when there are many other better, more suitable sites to be used? Yeah, that's something that's a county or state issue, maybe zoning or land use, or however. I'm not sure exactly which keyhole you'd want to go in, but yes.
I mean, I was thinking too, in 5 years, if this is a moot point because all of New York State has, gone over to a certain way of getting energy, we might not even have a say in this because our energy might be coming from a totally different place. So I wonder if it's worth looking into how that works with what our needs are.
On the flip side of that, Alex, there is a deadline in New York State by 2030 to be using more greener things. So maybe taking that into effect too, which is kind of the
LCPA. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Are you three aware of the solar mapping tool that has been developed by Scenic Hudson and the DEC? You're smiling, you're yes, no?
I think I found that when I was doing some research. Yes.
No interest? I attended a seminar on it, and there's one, or a webinar, there's one coming up. Do you want the link or no interest?
Yeah.
Send
Okay,
it.
Yeah.
I'll send it.
Yes, please.
I think I found the solar mapping tool. I don't know if you could hear me. Basically, I think I found that while I was doing my research. Basically, there's a variety of tools out there, and I'm sure I found this on the DEC site. It's great. It's good
Yeah, send it over, Julie. I'd like to take a look at it.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay.
Cool. And I just like to weigh in for a moment. I'm always so impressed and glad when we at the town board ask the WEC to look into something, because I just want to state my appreciation for Nick and Bob and David for the thoroughness. I know Nick stated, but it was the three of you, the multifaceted investigation and thought of all the different areas. So I'm very comfortable with your recommendation to the town board, because clearly you put a lot of thought into it, and this group really has a good sense of how to investigate something. You know, what are the right rocks to uncover, to look underneath, and then pulling together the answers. So I just want to give you a town board thank you.
Thank you very much. That's what we're trying to do.
I just want to say, as a member of the WEC, I appreciate everything the three of you guys have done, and I have full confidence in what you collectively, the three of you, I'm psyched that you're unanimous, but whatever you guys say, hey, we think you should do this, I'm very comfortable with, at least so far, I'm sure, with what, I trust you three to kind of do, ask the questions and whatnot. So thank you for doing it. So I feel very comfortable with where you're going.
Thanks.
As a member, I would vote how you guys tell me to.
Okay. Aaron, if we're on you, do you want to, are you guys feeling ready to be done with your community solar presentation? All right, Aaron, do you want to give us a little climate smart communities update?
Oh yeah, well, as you all know, I postponed today's meeting, so I will not have much, but so I'm gonna do it a week from today. But one thing of note is we were contacted by a grad student at Bard who has a survey he wants us to look at. So I'm gonna pass that along to everyone when he gets that over to us. I'm also gonna see if we can maybe leverage him to help us. But other than that, from now until next Wednesday, those of you that are on this call that are involved in CSC, if you want to go to the website, and there's one item in particular, the climate action plan. If you want the community climate action plan, it's the PE2. If you want to look at that and look at what's involved with it, because that's something we're going to be talking about, and it's going to be one of our main focuses for the year going forward, that plus the resiliency.
Aaron, are you still looking for new members for the task force?
Yeah, we're always open to new members. Like, we can take them as extra volunteers, I found out. So, and I know you had mentioned someone of youth. One thing we did one thing I would love to do is somehow coordinate with the locals, with Ontura somehow, and get youth involved.
So if anyone knows anyone that you think might be interested.
Or if you know a teacher at the school, like a science teacher, you could introduce me to, or something. I know we've talked about that, but.
No, and I spoke to the principal of the school, and he was like all gung ho about working with us. And then he just like dropped the ball. So yeah. But I do know a couple of people.
I'll reach out to you, Arlene, after this, between now and next Wednesday, maybe I could send some emails out or something. Thank you.
And then the other thing too, Aaron, you tell me, but are we looking for someone that we can find who would have grant writing capabilities and knowledge?
So the people who would write our grants would be Heather and Ashley, because they're our town of Woodstock grant writers.
Okay.
But the way I've talked to Ashley, and the way it is because she does so much, and Ashley, you can actually correct me on this because it was a while ago that I talked to you, but she's kind of looking for us to go to her and say, hey, this is the grant, this is, what it's about, and we think this will fit, can you apply? So we kind of have to bring it to her and also make sure, you know, it's a grant that we would qualify for, et cetera. So that's kind of tricky. And if anybody on this call knows anybody who does grant writing who could help me, I'm a little overwhelmed when I go onto the Grants Gateway and I start looking, because it's a lot of information and it's a lot. And I get a little overwhelmed with where to start, but.
Well, Ashley, are you able to speak to that at all? And I understand Ashley's doing a ton of stuff, and for sure she does. But Ashley, can you speak to yeah, how much you think you and Heather could direct people, because it is when you got your training on grant writing, how much of it was being able to research applicable grants, and how much of it was actually writing the grant once you know what grant you're going for?
We're actually waiting to have a, it's called the Gateway. We haven't had a training on how to use the actual Gateway. We've had trainings through Grant Writers USA as far as like how to correctly write a grant, what they're asking for, and the guidelines, but we haven't had any training as far as the actual Grants Gateway for New York State. There's somebody that we can always contact to ask about it, but you have to have a specific question in mind. They don't just sit there and talk you through the whole thing. So that's where we're kind of stuck, because they haven't done one of those this year.
Well, if there's a contact name for the Grants Gateway of New York State, and if there is a contact name, what would they do if Aaron called them and said, hey, I have an idea for, you know, we're the Woodstock Environmental Commission and we'd like to know in this area what grants? Would they talk to Aaron if she had a specific question like that?
Yeah, there's a number, I don't have it open, but there's a number when she logs in to the helpline, and they would be able to either help her directly or direct her to the correct person based on the question that she's asking.
Okay, so the Grants Gateway of New York State has a helpline. And Aaron, do you have the URL to get to the Grants Gateway of New York State?
Yeah, I have a sign on and everything. Julie and I have sign on. So I've been on it a few times. So I think I do know what Ashley's referring about. So
the helpline.
Yeah. So Ashley, is there like sorry, Laura, I did not mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I was done. I'm trying to help you. So go ahead.
Thank you. Is there are there classes set up for this year yet, or for the training? Is it something I could attend?
I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay.
We've been watching. I think they kind of put them on the back burner for 2020. I haven't seen anything come out so far. There is always Grant Writers USA. That's the class that Heather and I took. That one, well, we actually took that one, and we also took one for the consolidated funding application, which is basically one application that kind of spreads out to anything that's available to municipalities. We took those two courses last year, or 2019. Yeah, 2019, I think it was. And we've been waiting for a Grants Gateway course, but we haven't seen anything come on yet for that specific, because it's a very antiquated system, the way that they have it on there, and a lot of it is very confusing to kind of look through. So it definitely would be helpful if we could, the two of us, find a course that can teach you how to use that, because it's very, very difficult to understand.
Actually, when those courses come up, is there a charge?
I don't know with the Grants Gateway one, but I do know that we paid for the Grant Writers USA. We paid for that.
Do you remember how much?
I believe it was $500 a person, but I think it might have gone down because they're doing them online. They're not providing like all the paper materials and stuff like that, but I don't know for sure.
Well, the committee, the WEC, I believe, does have a budget. I'm not remembering what it is, but if Aaron wanted to go and if we knew the price, and just Alex, since you're new in your role, when the WEC has a budget, which I'm sure it does because it always does every year.
460.
What was it?
460.
460. The protocol is always to ask the board before actually spending it. So you do have the budget, but the board is, you know, I know that if you talk to Bill McKenna, he'll say, yes, it is your money, but as a courtesy, let the board know before money is spent. So anyway, that's the courtesy, but that might be a good thing to spend money on is Ashley, when you find out when that course is available, and if Aaron would like to go, that would be handy, very helpful, I think.
Have
Yeah,
we ever,
I can send you the links to the sites where we find when there are courses.
Maxine Resnick has been using a Bard grad student to do a lot of their work. I don't know about grant writing, but she's been doing a lot of their research. And I'm wondering if we couldn't get the same. She comes in a few times a week. She's been working very closely with the Land Trust. And this might be something that, I mean, they have a master's in environmental education. This might be something that we could reach out and see if we could get someone that would do something like this. And those kids write. They write very well.
Marlene, do you know if she pays her, or is it like an internship kind of thing?
I'm not sure if I think she gets paid now, but when she started, she didn't. But I can check. I can ask Max.
You need to have her
that would
write
be
grants,
fabulous.
get the money to pay her to write the grants.
Yeah, or find somebody at Bard, because they're really good writers, those kids.
That's a great idea.
Young adults.
Do you want me to, Erin, do you want me to ask Max, or do you want to?
That would be great. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, because she's done all kinds of stream research, but there might be somebody within the group that would be willing to do something like this. Again, it's experience.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's all I have for Climate Smart. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. The next Climate Smart Resiliency Planning Tool. Julia, do you want to stay being in contact with that woman? Do you want to send everything over to me? Do you?
Actually, that person is now in touch with Aaron.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Brent, he's been in touch with me with getting documents from the town. So
Okay.
he's kind of in the preliminaries. So preliminary process.
Perfect. Okay. Do you want to, will you just write to me and let me know?
Yes, I will. I'll forward you the emails and I'll tell him to copy you on them in the future, you know.
Okay, sorry. You guys are all going to know stuff that I don't know yet. Sorry. Nick, anything you want to tell us about the brochure and webpage?
You did ask when you sent out the agenda for people to let you know if nothing had happened, so that it could be removed, and I omitted to do that. We could probably take this this off. I've my time for the WEC's been involved in looking at the community solar thing rather than this, and we need to get back on this. We really do.
You don't need to excuse yourself. It's perfectly fine.
No. I feel guilty for a lack of action on something I feel strongly about, basically. So I really wanted to get going on it. It's just
right.
that it's been mad busy. I mean, I have to drop off at 8 o'clock because I have a work call. I mean, my work's been slamming me, so it's been mad.
Before we leave that topic, though, I'm just thinking that we do have the Facebook page, the WEC Facebook page, and before we have a brochure, before we do some of these other things, we can always use that to present a little mini statement about composting or anything, really. I mean,
well,
and we can, in aggregate, that in itself is a way to communicate to the town. Not that people are, well, actually, we're steadily getting more likes and more followers, so. Yeah. So
Julia, I was gonna mention this at the bottom when we talked about the email list, but is everyone fine if we take an Instagram account also that we can link to that? And there's one that's Woodstock NY WEC was free.
That's what we asked you to do last year, and
Well, what you asked me to do was to take the name, which I tried to get that we can't get.
Oh, okay.
So I had written to someone over there and they were like unable to give it to us. But are we cool with just that name? Does anyone care? Because that's what we're left with.
Sorry, could you repeat that? What's the name?
Woodstock NYWEC was available.
Yeah, if that's what we've got, sure. That's sure.
And now that I have the email address access, I can sign up for it.
And they'll be linked, right?
We can link it to the Facebook, although I might need your help with that because.
Or Nick maybe,
or yeah, whoever has the Facebook password.
Oh,
well,
yeah, we all do.
Yeah, there's a few of us who are set up as administrators. I think it's Julia and Erin and myself basically right now, and that can be extended to anybody else who wants it. I think linking other social media outlets to this so that our articles propagate through on other channels sounds like a fantastic idea. I'll add to Julia's idea. We can maybe put some material out there about bear awareness, especially as we get into the spring.
Right.
And
did I read something about a bear awareness workshop that's coming to town?
Oh, please. Seriously? Sorry.
No, I thought I saw it in the Hudson Valley in that article about the baby bear cub. Did anyone see that?
I think I saw that as well. Yes, Bill McKenna cashed in on that one and got himself some good publicity. And
so apparently there is going to be a bear awareness speaker potentially in town. Maybe we can piggyback off of that.
Yeah, maybe Aaron and Bill could speak at that.
All right, so I do think with Instagram, the way that it works is that you can make an Instagram post that feeds into a Facebook, but you cannot make a Facebook post that feeds into an Instagram post. Okay. So just so that everyone knows, what you're putting on the Facebook is not going to automatically carry over the other way. So you have to also make your posts Instagram friendly. So we can do both.
So you're suggesting that we should be going through Instagram from now on, because then it populates.
For things like a link, I suppose it won't work. But if you have something like you want to say, here's my 5 tips about bears, and you have a little image you could use, it would be easier to go in through Instagram and feed it into Facebook, because we can't do it the other way around.
Okay.
Or we can
always use an image anyway. So
yeah, or we can always post it twice. But just so you know, so all that stuff won't be automatically getting put up there.
So did everybody see that they blocked Trump on Twitter for the next 12 hours?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
That came up on my phone. I had to tell
3 years too late.
You know what's really sad? They probably had to do that to make sure that nothing was incited. Like
they wanted to delete his tweets and he didn't do it. So
sorry. They probably had to do that for like the safety of the damn country.
Well, they could have done it in 2015.
It just plays into the right-wing conspiracy theories about censorship in social media, though, basically. So there's a double-edged sword there.
We know Pence was making all the decisions about bringing the National Guard. So there was,
that's right.
You know, this hot rumor that Trump was either wrapped up in a straitjacket or.
No, he came out and spoke.
You can't even show a titty on social media. So, I mean, censorship exists, like you either choose to agree with it or you don't. It's not like government censorship.
What'd you say, Alex? You can't show.
I know. Did you just say titty?
I said titty. Yeah, I did. I've been kicked off.
Wait a second. Erin, if you don't object to that, I'm going to object to you for creating a hostile work environment for me, because she can say titty and I can't say titty. That's
you can't say titty, David.
I call BS on that.
David,
it wasn't being said in a harassing manner. It was being said in regards to the First Amendment and our rights.
No, it's in reference to the part of a woman's body. And you
which
know
I vowed to hold today in my swearing in.
But we're almost an hour into the meeting.
You can't.
Yeah.
hour into the meeting and I haven't heard the F-bomb from Alex, so we're doing really great.
Professional.
Good point, Laura.
All right, Erin.
What do you mean the middle of a meeting? It's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, Erin,
Yeah.
can we change the date of Earth Day next year?
Yeah, what do you mean? I mean, of course, we're the WEC. You're the chair. We can do whatever we want. You
Well,
do
We
it's
whatever
always
you
change
want.
it.
You're in
It's
charge of
always on a
Earth Day.
Saturday of our choosing, or it has been. We've never done
Well-
it really on Earth Day.
Oh,
There is an actual Earth Day, and it's the 22nd or the 24th. I have to look it up. I don't know.
22nd of April.
Okay, so what day of the week does it
April.
fall on?
No, I
It's
was
a
just
Thursday.
curious
It's
if
not
we
a
want to
Saturday.
do it like in June, perhaps, if we're probably still going to be like in a pandemic, not doing indoor kind of stuff mode, and we don't want to have a repeat of the rain Earth Day, but it might have to be outside and it's kind of an arbitrary day. Do you want to just do like a June Earth celebration in Woodstock? You don't have to make a decision now. We can think on
Likely
it.
fireworks not on the 4th in Woodstock.
Yeah,
Well,
Fourth-
yeah, I was just
4th of
thinking the
July
same
and
thing,
August.
Arlene.
We
Right.
can do whatever we want because we're Woodstock.
So,
Well,
all right, everyone just
I don't
think
know.
on that,
I would be open to it.
especially Erin.
Yeah, and my
Yeah.
opinion is I believe by June, the vaccine will be a lot more prevalent. You know, by even April, maybe not so much, but
No.
my hope is that by June, we're more normal. But I don't think we will be by the actual Earth Day, but by June, maybe.
Just incidentally, it's the 22nd and it falls on a Thursday, so obviously we're not going to do that. So.
Okay.
Or the week before.
Yeah, it was just a suggestion if you want to consider that.
I think I'm definitely open to it. And I like what Arlene said, how, we're Woodstock, we do things a little different. We celebrate July 4th in August, so why
What
not?
if we celebrate Earth Day on July 4th?
Or
You know,
Just
every
remember-
day is Earth Day, so
Yeah, okay.
You can't guarantee sunny weather in any month of the year. It's just if you do it to avoid the rain, it's going to rain on the date you pick. You know that.
No, it's more the fact that people won't be gathering in April, but they gather.
Oh, they won't. They might by June or July, they might. But April, my gut feel, I'm no expert, but that's my gut feel.
Yeah, nobody's going to be gathering in April still.
All right, planning board items. I think there was one meeting between our last meeting and this meeting, and then there's one tomorrow. But did anyone go to that one last meeting that wants to share anything?
I think I did, but I forget.
Okay, so it wasn't that important or exciting.
That's not very helpful. It was
Okay.
pretty, yeah, I don't know. I think David was on too, actually. Do you remember David?
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry. What was this?
Didn't you and I both were on a planning board, attended a planning board meeting before the holidays? Or am I in La La Land?
Maybe not. Maybe you won the Academy Award. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't. I think I was at
Got
a
it.
planning board meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is anyone
Nothing happened.
interested in sitting in on a planning board meeting tomorrow to hear about the Corollas? Erin? All right.
I guess I don't mind doing it. Yeah, I think I can do it. Maybe I should do it. I know it's just the parents of Corollas, but the neighbor, Frank Amy, told me that Corollas's dad was also, he saw his truck going up there dumping stuff, which tells me that the people who are subdividing, who have the application before the planning board, are just as dirty as, but then again, that's hearsay. So yeah, I'll go to the meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
So Alex, before you move to new business, I did have one more question on the community solar. I know I'm here, I can take the message back, but you as chair want to take the message back? The threesomes decision, which it sounds like your committee all agrees with. So how do you want that to be communicated to the town board?
it'd be an opinion that's on letterhead, right?
Would that be an email from Alex? Or I know that when you gave the dance game a response, actually it was in the form of resolution, which isn't really needed for this, I don't think. But it could be an email from Alex to Bill and the board. It could be, David, Nick, and Bob did the work. It could be something from them, but I just didn't know Alex is chair, how would you like that communication for the answer?
Do you guys, do David, Nick, and Bob want to give a couple of points that you would use to back up your decision to me, and I'll compose an email to send over?
Sure.
We
What do you
can
need?
that.
I don't know, Laura, what kind of deadline were they thinking of for this information? I mean,
December. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they kind of were.
Yeah,
oh, were
they-
they?
I think the sooner, I know that, you know, Julia had talked to Bill and said,
Mm.
the WEC needs to investigate. You know, you guys don't shoot from the hip, and that's what I am very impressed with, that you do the right job in your investigations. So when you have an answer, when you're ready, it sounds like you might be ready within a week, right? If you had Nick and Bob and David send you, Alex, the talking points, you know, in a couple of days, and you might have a couple of days to draft the email. So our board meeting, well, we're not meeting the 12th. So I guess here would be my thought. We're skipping the 12th because we had a meeting on Monday, and we also are meeting again on the 14th to do audits. So our next 7:00 p.m. meeting will be the 19th. So I think if you had it in next week sometime, the board would have a chance to read it before the 19th. So I think next week would be a good target, but it's not mandatory, but that would be a good target.
Well,
It's
Before-
fine with me if it's fine with them.
Nick,
Yeah,
Bob, how about I
just-
draft an email, send it to the
Sure.
two of you by the end of the weekend, and that way we can noodle it around and maybe have a conference call or whatever, or Zoom it or whatever. And does that sound good?
Yep, that
Yeah,
works-
exactly.
works
Exactly
for
what I was
me.
going to suggest. Yeah, absolutely
Okay.
perfect.
Sounds
Yep.
good.
Works for me.
Yep. Unfortunately, I've got to drop. Late
See
for
you,
my
Nick.
work meeting.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Bye, Nick.
We'll do these fast, all right, guys? Did anyone get a chance to read the grant stuff that Julia sent to me that I forwarded to everyone?
Yeah, I actually got in touch with Aaron Bennett, who's Ulster County and also Ashokan Streams, because I wanted to know if they were doing anything with these grants with the flood hazard mitigation, because they work with Cornell Cooperative too. So he was having a meeting with people this afternoon, and he was going to check back. He didn't know of anything, but he said they might be doing stuff in the area in Woodstock, and he was going to get back to me, because they often use these kinds of programs. So I wanted to make sure before we did something, you know, to find out if anybody within the watershed is doing something.
Yeah, the deadline seemed, I mean, I know Max sent it to you, Julia, but do those come out for the next year earlier? Do you know? I mean, it seemed like everything was like, you have to get it done in 3 weeks.
Last minute.
No, but I think that the
No.
people that work on these, like Cornell Cooperative and the Streams programs, they all know about them. So they've already
Yeah.
done their homework and they're prepared. But
Because
I
it
just
might be
don't know if they're doing
something for us
something in Woodstock.
to think about for next year, maybe if there was anything on that list that we thought would be, you know.
Well, with the Gateway program, right, that's an opportunity to know what's coming up. And that's the whole idea. You can't respond to something
Oh,
in a
no,
couple of
no,
weeks.
it's a
Crazy.
lot of work.
You have
So
to
does the
plan, you
Gateway
have to plan
program
everything.
does the Gateway program give us information on other grant? It's more of just like all the grants.
All the grants for New York State.
Yeah.
Right.
So one thing that I kind of came across, I think, is that there are cyclical grants. So like they already know about some that are going to be offered this fall. They're always offered in the fall, every year, every 3 years, stuff like that, Alex. So the website's a listing of all the grants, and you can actually go in, and what I've done is I've looked at grants that have been awarded, and you can see a pattern, like where they have these that come out after a while, and then I guess maybe they run out of money. I don't know, and they end it and offer a new one. I don't know.
Okay, I've been on that site and I didn't realize it was like everything.
Yeah.
There was a huge grant that comes out, or it's due, the submission is due every July, I believe. And that has to do with the DEC. And that's the reason that we originally got interested in doing an ASERTA program for the activities. And then we got involved, we looked carefully at the CSC, and we said, no, we can't take that on. But Aaron took it on. So, you know, we should look at that. I mean, even now it feels formidable to think of submitting something for July, but maybe we can, I'll look at that. I'll see if that thing is coming up this year. Maybe with COVID it's not, but I'll look at it because that was something we were always going to try for, right? It's a
Yeah,
big
I
deal
mean-
and it's, yeah, okay.
I know we talked, I mean, I know I was going to talk about it a little later too, but when I sent my email saying that it would be nice to think about some longer term kind of projects for us to work on too. And maybe this could be one of them, to just say like, not even this, you know, in the next couple of years, we'd like to try to get X amount of money for this kind of project. And we don't have to get it done by the end of February, but it could be
Maybe 2 or 3 years down the line.
yeah, just to
Mhm.
plan ahead and have some stuff that we are excited to work on. Which brings me to the next item, which was the home sharing program. I mean, Arlene, you sent that article to all of us. I had seen it. I know they didn't ask for our help specifically. Does anyone, they did ask for general help. Do we feel like that's something that we want to give unsolicited help to, or
No.
reach out to anyone about and see? No?
Isn't that,
I,
isn't
I
that
say
the-
no.
is that the
Not our
seniors item?
purview.
Isn't that the seniors item about people, a senior might have somebody living with them? Is that when you say the home sharing? You're talking about seniors having somebody move in that can help them so they can stay in their home longer, and is that the home
Well,
sharing?
it sort of got us all talking, not all talking, but we were kind of writing back and forth a bit about what some other places have done with like, you know, like sustainable home share types of things, you know.
Then that's the kind of long-term thing for a grant.
Yeah.
To start designing and planning or doing research in the community about what the community wants, that you can get a grant that will support the research for something like that.
Can we do that, guys? Wouldn't that be cool?
How does that relate to the environment and what the WEC
Because
is?
what you would be doing is you're creating, for all the people like myself that are getting older, that would still want to be in the community, you're creating housing that is energy saving, completely green. That works to keep the community going, but also is energy saving.
Mhm.
So
I mean,
it's a-
imagine if you had some sort of properties where you had these like zero emissions homes that we got grant money to get paid for, that people could live in at a more affordable, you know, kind of level. You could have a community garden in the back. They could be growing, you know, pollinator gardens and vegetables, and
it's basically a way to keep communities alive and moving forward into a greener environment.
Oh, I'm all for the program. I know. I mean, I'm friends with some people who are involved, and that article with Reggie and his landlord was beautiful, and I think it's a great program. I'm trying to connect the dots to the WEC, because
I guess we want to do all of it. But if there's anyone who would want to collaborate, like with us and with the housing committee or with some other committees, to kind of come up with a plan where we're like, we know this grant that you can get for using the stretch codes to build housing, and they're like, we know these people need,
But
you know,
basically,
affordable apartments, and kind of work together to get some nicer kind of buildings. I don't know. I would love to.
But there's two completely separate issues. One is co-housing or community housing or whatever, however you want to frame it, to have people live in the same homes as Alta Cockers and take care of them. And then there's green building, which is a completely different thing. And if you want to see green building, go to Bob's house and then walk up the street a little bit on the other side, and you'll see a place where there's been a lot of trees cut down to create a house that really uses virtually no energy and has solar panels on a roof to supply all that energy. It's and as Nick and Bob and I all have concluded, everything's a compromise. You know, like there's some trees that were cut down, a lot of trees that were cut down, and on the other hand, you have a house that uses no oil, no electricity. You know, virtually.
there's other ways to do it too. There's passive solar. I mean, for years I've been doing research. There's many ways to build a house that can make it energy efficient, not just solar. And basically what the idea would be is to create something for the community, like we're doing for office buildings in the town, where it's a no cost that will allow people to remain in the community. That's all. It's just a thought. It might drop. We could stop it now, but
I think it's a great program. I just think our plate.
we're talking about years down the line,
Yeah,
Bob.
we don't
Oh,
need
that's
to
not
do it.
bad. You mean?
We don't need to do it by the end of February.
No, this is one of those long-term thoughts that we could get a grant and possibly look at and see if it's possible. And it might be something really cool that we could put
Before
on.
you guys describe it, it sounds like a beautiful idea. I mean, it really does. Like, it's almost like you could, I'm picturing this little mini commune in Woodstock and everyone's like, you know, doing the crops in the back, and they go to the trough to get the rainwater, and, you know, it sounds beautiful. It sounds Woodstock, you know, and
Woodstock Commons, but it's all green, right?
right.
Yeah.
And you have to have been a resident for 15 years to qualify to live there for free, and you get to be an artist and die there and get buried in the garden. It sounds beautiful. It really does. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, so I mean, that's all. It was just a thought.
And Arlene even made it sound like she had some design ideas, so. You know.
That's getting my design background back up, but I'm not going to do that. I'm retiring.
All right, so can we, I don't know. I think that would be an interesting long-term thing to look into, but, you know,
But
obviously.
there's other things too that we
Yeah,
could look into. We've talked about, you know, making people in the town accountable for their town, you know, as far as what they're doing within their homes, but making it something that's more community, you know, not just town stuff that the town does, but that people do individually, but they feel like, and I don't know how to do this, but we've talked about it.
Yeah.
I was
things
good at that.
I don't know. I love
that-
like things that also bring all the different elements of community together. So what's nice about that, or something, you know, along those lines, is like, how do you get something that makes sense for the environment, makes sense for the people here, that's affordable? You know, if you're growing vegetables that you can share with people, that's helping people also with food access. That's helping them with, you know, saving money, and it's saving getting shipped food. You know, it's kind of like the whole picture. And maybe if we get grant money for something that we don't even have to pay for all of it, like,
Yeah, so
to get all of these things working together.
long term,
How can we do that?
way down.
In the long term, but we have to start long-term goals somewhere, guys. And so the next thing is really, and we don't have to have an answer now, but in the next like 2 or 3 months, I would love it if you guys all wanted to try to think about some long-term goals that we think we could accomplish. And I mean, really, like, it can be 5 or 10 years from now, you know, but that we start thinking about now, and then we have smaller goals to reach that. So whether we want to do like 20% waste reduction across the town, and how are we going to do that? And we get to have, you know, expanding composting, things like that. If for this community solar crowd, if there are any kind of like energy types of goals, you know, that you can think of, and how we want to get to them. And then just like the NR, you know, for like actual conservation types of things, we have the NRI. It's beautiful. How are we going to use it? What do we want to do
Along
with
those
it?
lines, excuse me,
Yeah.
can I just give you a quick update on the NRI?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I've heard from Ingrid, and she told me that the 5 copies that they printed, that the county printed for us, are available. So I'm going to pick them up tomorrow from Kingston. And I talked to Jim Hansen about where the 5 should go. And here's what we came up with, and tell me if you like this. 1 will go to the town clerk, 1 to the supervisor, 1 to the planning department, 1 to the Woodstock Library, and the 5th one will go to Jim, because he came up with the money for the designer for the cover.
Wait, what was the 4th one, Julia?
The Woodstock Library.
Oh, the one before.
It will stay on premises. They wouldn't be allowed to let it go off premises, but for people who wanted to go to the library once COVID is over.
No, I just missed one. I have clerk, supervisor, library, gym.
Planning board
Planning department.
Planning board.
or department, yeah.
I think I think those are great locations. I think we should just make sure, or is it possible to say this is still property of the town of Woodstock. So like the one for the library, I know the library is technically not the town. So like if it ever came down to it, we said that just so they know it's property of the town.
It would be the property of the library in that case. They would never let it go off premises. Is that not good enough for you?
No.
Or contribute, we could have a note that it was given by the WEC or no?
Oh, I like that idea better.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, then that's how we'll do that. And then the other side of this is that the shape files that go into the maps are being, they've been conveyed to Judith Kerman. She's the woman on the planning board who is the expert. And so they are going to go to town and use all of these new maps for all of the planning board activities and going forward, which is tremendous. So
That's great. That's
speaking
great.
of the future of the NRI, it's got legs already. So I think that's pretty cool. So that whole conversation was going on today, and Judith was downloading everything madly and saying, I can use it or this, you know, the other thing. So that was all pretty good. And then on the Facebook page, I did post the links to the how you can download it for yourself and where you can get all the maps. So there's that. And then Bennett Radcliffe in HV1 did a wonderful article. Did everyone see that article?
I think I sent it to you guys.
Yeah, you did.
Tried to.
Okay, yeah, right. You did. You did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You did. Yeah, so it was really wonderful. So yeah.
And he also told me, because I said, oh, it wasn't clear at first that was going to be an article about the NRI. Right? Like it didn't.
Oh, it totally wasn't.
I would have missed it completely had I not like gone back 3 times through the paper. But so I said, oh, it's a great article. And he said that, you know, if we wanted him to pitch something to the paper at some point, that he would do it if we did have some like kind of thing we wanted to share. It's like in particular, if we wanted to say, now we have an email list and a Facebook and you know, like, here's how you can reach us. So he volunteered to do that. The email list, Ellie, who works for Maxanne at the Land Conservancy, recommended using MailChimp, and they have a free service. It doesn't sell anyone's, you know, information that gets put into it. So if everyone's cool with it, I was going to go ahead and sign up for like the free one just to get us started, and then ask her. She knows how you put like a, you know, on a web page, you can put a thing you click on that says like, sign me up.
Yeah, opt in, sure.
Link.
That's
So they do that all the time. So she said she would explain it to me if we wanted to have
talking
it.
about like email blasts.
Yeah, e-blast.
Yeah, so that we could start getting an email list going just of people in the community who want to be informed as a way of just like getting information to them directly. It doesn't mean we have to do like a weekly newsletter or anything like that, but if we have.
So I'm just, since there are only so many of us, I would say that whatever we're doing through Instagram and Facebook, we would do that also through the e-blast, right? I mean, you can't, there are only so many things you can come up with, right?
I don't
know.
I'm not sure what you mean.
I'm sorry?
I'm just not sure what you.
Okay, so in terms of content, I mean, how many of us are there to create content on a regular basis? So
I don't know if we have to, I mean, in my mind, I don't know that we have to send out e-blasts of content all the time, but if we're like, we're having an Earth Day celebration on June 25th, here's where it is, you know, or like the NRI is finished, here's how you get it.
Okay, got it.
Someday if we have a bunch of BARD interns who want to do a newsletter for us, I guess they could.
So that sort of news would go on our Facebook page and the town site and the number of places and this e-blast, right?
But where do the email addresses?
Sorry.
But where would the email addresses come from? So MailChimp is where you store the email addresses, but how are you going to get email addresses in there?
So I think I confused things, so I'm sorry. I said email blast when Alex was explaining it, but I misunderstood. It's not an email blast. She's talking about MailChimp, which is basically a place to store a membership list of emails that we would collect. Is that right?
It's both.
Yeah, but
So-
there's no point in having the list if you don't do something with it. So it is in aid of an e-blast. That is
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
So it would be, Laura, I think what we were thinking, especially because it's town related, it would be an opt-in kind of thing that we would put on the WEC webpage, on the Facebook
Okay.
page, saying, if you want to, you know, give us your email address, you can stay up to date with important announcements that we have. Once we, you know, if we have 100 people in town who want to get email addresses, then
Right.
it's a direct way to let them know we
Sure.
have an event coming up, we have something that we're
Perfect.
doing.
Why don't I do something right now on Facebook and say, we're going to be putting together, you know, an e-blast or an e-newsletter or something like that. If you would be interested in hearing news from the WEC, give us your email address now.
So I think the thing that is good about doing it through the program and then you have that link is that no one would have to share their email address publicly, like to all of us. You know, you would say like, sign me up, here's my email, and
Yeah,
it goes through the back end.
Where are you going to post this request? I mean, people can do that on their website. I have that on my website, you know, contact. And then if you'd like to receive this newsletter, you give us your email address. But where is that going to go, that thing?
Well, I think it would go on the WEC on the WEC web page.
Ashley, can we do that? I don't know.
Sorry, I stepped away. What was that?
Yeah, can we on our on the WEC web page post something that says, if you'd like to get regular updates from the WEC about townwide initiatives that might of an environmental nature that might be of interest to you, opt in here.
I think you have to have a program if you want it to be like a link for them to fill out information, but I mean, you could provide the email address and they could email the WEC directly. I don't know of any programs that we would be able to tie in to take like name, email address and all of that.
There are widgets that do that, but probably the website.
Not on our
not
website.
compatible. Yeah.
It's
So you
way
don't
too
think it'll be
simple.
able to handle, it can't host the
The
widget? All
No,
right.
it doesn't. I mean, you can't even post, you can post links to videos, but you can't post a video on the website. It doesn't take like that.
All right, well, so I'll do a little more thinking, but I think in general, it would be nice to start getting a list. You know, we just have such a hard time like letting people know what's going on, especially now.
Okay, here's a thought. The Woodstock Chamber of Commerce and Arts has a huge list, enormous list. We could, for the moment, simply do our e-blast through them. I have a membership and I'll just use it for that. You know, I don't care. That's fine. I
So
mean, because I
think-
get, as a member, I get about 2 blasts a year that I can do.
I
So
think
would
the only issue is that because it's a town kind of thing, we could send out something through your thing saying, we're going to start collecting email addresses. If you want to send us yours, send it to us. And then anyone who wants to opt in can opt in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we can just send it to, people have to ask for it.
Okay, so another thing we could do is put an item in the paper and say, if you would like to receive email blasts from the WEC, send your email address to wec@woodstocknewyork.org.
And
come right to
who's
you.
monitoring that email address?
That would be Alex.
Yay, yay.
I don't know. Is that not good?
No, that's why that's why we were saying maybe if we had some idea for something that we wanted to like write up a little blurb or something and say, we have a Facebook, we have this, and you can send us your email address and we'll put you on our news.
That would go into the paper, right? Is that, I mean, it would be good to start that way. People might respond to it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's not that many people here, I'm sure it won't be like an overwhelming.
Hudson Valley One and the Kingston Daily Freeman. You could do both, you know?
Yeah. All right, cool. And then just the other thing was David, do you want to tell everyone about your email that you sent out that I saw?
Oh, yeah, to Jonathan, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, one of the goals that I have for 2021 is to become more linked, more, have more information available going to and from the county and state legislatures. So I sent an email to Jonathan Hepner, who used to be a member of this commission and is now our county legislator and was at least was and maybe still is an employee of the assembly. And I asked him if we could just set up like an informal sharing of information, like a couple of minute call every month or every twice a month or whatever. And I haven't heard back from him yet, but I just sent that out yesterday, I think, or the day before. So yeah, so I'll see what happens. Jonathan is pretty helpful, and I think he obviously is an alum of the commission. He's going to have some sympathy for us, and I know his heart's in the right place. So okay, now Alex, can I go eat lobster yet?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to say one thing. So David, if you need to reach out to Jonathan, he's actually a member of the task force, the Climate Smart.
Oh, okay. If you'd just send him a note saying, hey, I heard, tomorrow, you're going to meet tomorrow or next week?
Next week.
If you could just say, hey, David told me he sent you an email. I was really excited. And blah, blah, blah.
I
Thank
can
you.
do that.
Okay.
So, and David, you saw the chat, right? I answered your other question on the chat.
Yes, I did. You did. I got her email address. Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go eat lobster if that's okay.
Yum.
Adjourn the meeting.
All good? Everyone good? Anything else?
Well, just a quick thank you to Alex for taking on the chair.
Yes,
Thank
big
you.
thanks.
Thanks,
Alex.
Alex.
Yay, Alex.
Yay.
Everybody's-
And Bob for
Yeah.
taking
Thank
the
you, Bob,
secretary.
for
And Bob.
secretary, and
And-
David for
And
vice
David,
chair.
vice chair, yeah, yay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Daniel
All right.
Rion, the penultimate
Good night.
artist, Daniel
Do I have
Rion.
to, do I have to do something? No, what do I do now?
You adjourn, but the
And
time is
oh, the
Adjourn
meeting
it.
is
8:27.
adjourned. It is 8:27.
Bye.
Night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night, kids.